Indeed, this is the morning glory show. Good morning to you. Where are you tuned in from? If you're already watching the broadcast, tell me where exactly are you watching us from. Remember, this is Thursday, and when it is Thursday, then we usually bring you a family and relationship edition. So if you're already tuned in, karibu sana. Tell me where you're watching us from. Click the like button and let me know exactly how you getting me. Is the audio okay? Are you getting the video quite well? This is also to just remind you that the video, we are coming live from Dawi Afrique Photography. Remember that Dawi Afrique Photography is situated in Eldoret, Zion Mall, Basement S. So if you're watching us, make sure that also you pass by Dawi Afrique later and take a few photos. Remember, this is a production house based in Eldoret, which specializes in both photography and videography. A good reminder also is that at the end of this particular show, somebody will walk away with a cake. So that means that the more you watch, the more you engage, the better your chances of winning a cake. So endelea kuzungumza na mimi. Let's talk to each other. And by the way, today I have a very interesting guest. His name is Musa. Musa is here with us to just help us discuss the topic, teens and technology. Did you know that 95% of teens currently can access the internet anytime they want? That means that as a parent, you should be concerned about what they consume online. But then before we indulge into the topic, I'll give a chance to Musa to introduce himself. Then I'll be back to explain to you deeper about the statistics of how teens can access the internet wherever they want. Karibu sana, Musa.
Thank you very much. As you have heard, my name is Musa Chepkurui. I am a certified human resource practitioner. And it's interesting to know and also to get to understand the effects of technology on the teen, and also in the area of human resource, how technology and internet access and watching internet can affect the productivity. It's not only to the teens, even to also workers, employees. It can affect the individual productivity to some degree.
Okay.
Yes.
As he puts it, then the internet can actually control you. There's an interesting photo. I don't know if you ever come across this photo where a man, there's a dog, amefungiwa nyororo ile ya umbwa na ameshikiliwa hapo. Then there's a man, simu iko kwa charger na pia they are staring on the phone. Equally, they are both constrained. The dog, we constrain dogs using ile mnyororo, but then we are equally being constrained by the gadgets we bought. And my first question would be then, do you think that there is need for us to start thinking about how much time we consume on the internet?
There is need, indeed, to think alongside what is the time that one can take in accessing information in the internet, or the time one can spend on a gadget, to the extent that can be detrimental to his productivity, or even to activities around him, to the extent that it can affect also his schedule. You might be having a schedule to 2, 1, 3, 4 activities, only to realize that you overspend much in the internet, and it limits you to execute what you had set in your schedule. So there is need to think alongside that line.
And actually, I don't know if you've ever gone to a meeting, or even, let's call it a meeting. But then most of the time, it is even a friend of yours, mko pamoja, or a family. They are seated on the table, supposed to be communicating with each other, but then somebody is communicating with somebody far away from that particular place. And so today, actually, okay, we may be a little bit aligned to the teens, but then this is something that it's a conversation that we need to have even with the adults. Because how would you control what your child is consuming before you control what amount of time you can control, what amount of time you spend on the internet? But then, as I said, then also remember to like this particular broadcast. Remember to tag your friends. Remember to engage the show, because at the end of this particular broadcast, somebody will walk away with a cake. Just to set the tone for the conversation. 1 year ago, a guy called Lawrence Warunge, a 22-year-old, murdered his family. First of all, he executed the murder in a way that nobody found out. And you see, detectives usually say that before somebody murders, first of all, they identify the target. After identifying the target, they study the target. And at the end of it all, they make sure that they've done everything to make sure that the crime is covered. Actually, the detectives had not even suspected him. He's the one who suspected himself and ran away. And later, when detectives caught up with him, he said that he had actually watched a movie called Killing Eve, which means that what we consume online may, in one way or the other, affect what we are thinking. And just to, I don't know how I'll put this, but do you think that we live in an age where parents have failed to, or have given their children to technology, in that instead of me spending time with my children, then I give them some time I give them the gadget and leave it to them? Do you think we have arrived at that age, or what is happening?
I will take you back to what you have said. Just to track your memory, it has triggered my mind on the issue of even adults seated in a room, having a family meal or having a family meeting, and you find that persons who are supposed to participate in a conversation, they are conversing with other friends away from the room. And in the stairways, you walk in the gangways, you walk in the plane, you walk everywhere. You might be in a crowded environment, but you are isolated.
So you are with people?
Glued. You are with people,
but then you are
away from them because you are glued to your gadget. And you are consuming tremendous information, which you have no control over the flow to your phone. The moment you have touched the buttons, all information flow in. So you get over-exaggerated information that actually has not been edited. And you suffer isolation, although you are in a crowd, which is in itself known as functional isolation. You are isolated from people, although you are in a midst of 1 million people.
Okay, you are a human resource practitioner.
Yes.
You deal with human resource,
yes.
Social capital. How can we solve this? Because these are a problem that started then with the other day. Because actually you're talking about teens, but then you are now dealing with real people who are now addicted to this. I started maybe using a phone when I was around 16 years old. I'm now 25 years old. You are employing this person and they cannot work. How can we correct this?
Every human being is addicted to something. The way you have just mentioned addiction. You can get addicted to TV. You get addicted to cycling. You get addicted to pornography. You get addicted to reading novels. Addiction is an excess of what is necessary. The information you are consuming through the internet might be necessary, but overuse of it can lead to addiction. Cycling is also good for physical fitness,
all that, yeah.
But if you get also excess of cycling, it leads to addiction. So addiction is in everything, but it is the control of it that is going not to take you to the level of addiction. So the deans and the other adults whom you have said, how do we control what the deans consume in the internet? First of all, the society has become a global village. The societal, through the anthropological orientation of our community, there were social structures that could limit and restrict the access of information that were not supposed to be accessed by children or teenagers. It was specifically to be consumed by adults. But through technology, information is available to everybody. And when you have talked of, you mentioned how do we control. First of all, you must question the access. If you have let me to access this room, you will not have control over what I will do in the room. So the question of access has to be interrogated first. Conversation around access of the gadget has to be interrogated.
Before you even go to what am I watching?
Yeah, before you could say, how do I control consumption? How do I control this? We must settle around and dwell around access, first of all. If you have given me the keys to access a room, you have no control over what I will do in the room. So it's access first.
So we must deal with the issue of access.
We have to deal with the issue of access. The moment you have allowed a teenager to access a gadget, you have no control over the information and the apps in that. Particularly, the teens and the teenagers are more techno-savvy and experts than even the adults. So you have no control you have no control. And if you have to talk about control, we must look at the orientation of the person. How has this person been oriented right from a child all the way to teenage? It's all about training. It's all about orientation so that boundaries can be set. If somebody has been brought up without the knowledge of boundaries, it is hard to talk about control when the person has been having no limits right from childhood to teenage.
And you see, technology is something that it has come a long way.
Yes.
There was industrial revolution.
Yes.
And then now we are in the information age.
Yes.
An old man was explaining to me that long time ago, somebody would go to a town when they are going to receive salary. That is when they come back and say, actually, Mzee Moi said this and this. And actually, it was not aired on radio, but then there is a communication in town.
It is true.
Nimeenda Eldoret town, nimerudi, and Moi said this and this and this. And so information was with the adults. Right now,
it's real time.
The
It's
young
real
people
time.
who have the information. Is it something we can correct?
The only way we will correct it is what I've said, is to try to bring in concept of orientation so that you can identify what are the issues, what are the fears, what is the information that we are having and we are nervous that the teens can access. In the first place, I have said we must interrogate
who has
access.
the phone.
Then now, interrogate, why do you fear? What is causing the fear that if the deans can access certain information, it becomes negative to them, or it can be positive to them? Internet access are positive and also have negatives.
Okay, we'll be coming to that. We actually want to know what exactly are our teens consuming at the moment. But then before we go there, I would want to continue welcoming you to this particular broadcast. This is going to be an interesting conversation. Already, Bwana Musa saying that, first of all, before you even talk about what the youth are consuming, have we interrogated the access? Why are they accessing these phones? And what are they, before you ask, what are they accessing, then why are they accessing in the first place? If you have any questions, if you have any feedback, let me know. I'll be sampling some of your comments this particular broadcast. Who would have won the cake? How do you win the cake? Tag as many friends as possible to watch this particular broadcast. Tag as many friends. The cake is already appearing on your screens. Leo ni kiatu, jana ilikuwa gari. Actually, Bwana Musa couldn't believe it's a cake. He was asking me, what does this symbolize? Actually, that is a cake appearing on your screen. Nimeona ni kiatu, hapo imeandikwa Morning Glory, alafu imepambwa vizuri sana. Somebody is going to walk away with this cake at the end of this particular broadcast, courtesy of Red Roll. As I've always told you, Red Roll came in to just make sure that when you watch the broadcast, we are not enticing you, but then we're giving you an extra to watch the Morning Glory show. Engage us, tag as many friends, and at the end of this particular broadcast, somebody will walk away with a cake courtesy of Red Royal Cake House. To give you some of the statistics, 95% of the youth or teens can access the internet whenever they want. Now, get the word, whenever. That means that akitaka, anapata. And Bwana Musa has clearly put it that then you must interrogate access. And I'll take back the question to him. Bwana Musa, what are we not doing then? Because 95% can access. Where do we start? It's already a disaster.
Yes, accessibility of a gadget or internet is not restricted to a phone. To a parent or to an adult or a caregiver who is taking care of a teen, you may say you want to limit or to deny availing a phone or a gadget to a teenager who you are taking care of. However, that particular denial or denying that particular teen a phone is not a guarantee that the dean cannot access internet elsewhere. Access of internet is available. So the availability is not even the issue here. You can avail the phone or any gadget that can make the dean to access, or you can even deny. However, you have said availability is everywhere. You can access in the office, you can access through a friend's phone. So the issue of access has to be interrogated by going straight to orientation. I'm availing you this gadget. However, this gadget can do you harm to this extent. Or if you use and utilize this gadget, it can promote your skills, it can promote access of information. And the moment you are having adequate information over a certain area, you become an expert. So you highlight and profile the positives that the gadget can assist you. And then again, you have to also to highlight the dangers that the gadget can bring to you. Okay. That in itself is one way of controlling what the dean can access.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Before we go far, we'll have with us Bwana Musa. Maybe there's somebody who's come in and doesn't know what is happening. Bwana Musa is an HR, is a certified HR expert. And today with us is here to just discuss the issue of teens and technology. But then he's actually expanded the topic and said, apart from teens, everyone else is being faced by these menace. So before we even interrogate the teens, then how are we using it as the adults? Because, okay, majorly we are assuming that teens somehow are not full adults. But then he's actually giving me a different side of the coin. He's flipping the coin and saying, before we even interrogate these teens, what are you using as a parent? What are you doing as a parent or as an adult to sort out the issue of technology? But then let me sample some of your comments already. There's somebody called Kims Lavin saying, good morning. Good morning, Kims Lavin. Thank you for watching this particular broadcast. There's somebody called Matthew Komen. Matthew is saying, good morning, everyone. Watching you from Flax. Kim Lavin, once again, ametag marafiki wengi hapo sana. Thank you so much. Ribon Neema saying good morning. Matthew Comment saying here is a good topic. Thank you so much. Thank you for those who are already watching. Thank you so much. I see somebody, Judith saying niko hapa, asante sana. Tag as many friends. By the way, click the like button. Tag as many friends and let's engage. I'll be reading more of your comments as they come in, but then also make sure that you engage the show, because at the end of it all, I've promised you a cake. Now, you've talked about the issue of interrogating what the teens are watching. Maybe in your experience, what are our people consuming on the internet today?
Our people, or most majority of people, consume variety. And you can never put a finger on what or a particular area or particular issue that they consume. People consume right from right information all the way to cabbage. People consume everything. Human mind, human eyes, human mind is interesting. Human mind is curious. And that curiosity is only satisfied by me or you or any other person accessing information. And you have no control over what comes up in your phone. The moment you put the internet on, all kind of information come in. So people there is no specific information that we can say people access. However, when celebrities are there, people just go to those sites. People also visit sites based on what they like and what interests them. So it is about interests that leads people to consume certain information. However, there is no limit, there is no control on what people consume, because you have no control over what pops up in your phone.
Okay. Statistics show that many teens and many youth, because now you're constrained to teens, are attracted to pornography, one, and they're attracted to horror movies. They are attracted to movies with a lot of sex scenes, generally pornography. Where do you think we lost it?
We have never lost anything. We have never lost anything because of advance in technology. And I will go back to what I told you in the first, that in the ancient times, our parents, the structures of socialization and societal structures were restricted, and they were not porous. Now, the structures are porous, the structures are eroded, so there are no limitations. So none has lost it. It is just technology that is pushing hard so much, and we are being pushed to the extent that we have no control over it, and we cannot control it. The river is flowing, and it's overflowing. River Nyando is swelling. So the technology is swelling, and you have no control over it. If you wanted to stand by the way of technology, it will sweep you. The only thing is we do what you call orientation, because every human being has capability to learn and relearn. So as much as we say we have lost it, we will go back to orientation. Orientation is the real thing. Okay. Induction is the real thing. You induct a person that dangers over everything. Even the dangers over consuming tea. The dangers will be you will never sleep in the night. You cannot take tea and then you go to sleep. It will disturb your sleep. So that orientation is that you limit uptake of tea or soda when you are going to sleep. So it's about induction.
It's about induction.
It's about induction.
Take us through how this thing can happen. You've mentioned induction. You've mentioned interrogation. Now take us first of all through interrogation. How do I start interrogating? Then after interrogation, then maybe take us through now. How do I even introduce it bit by bit, and how do I manage that?
Let me take you back to Lawrence, because that is the focal point of our discussion. He watched horror movies, he read books, and human being and human mind can generate millions of ideas, societal ideations. Human mind can also generate, based on what you have read, it can generate information so fast. And this person who is still developing as a teenager is having what you call experimental mind. He still wants to experiment. And I've said in the first place, every human being has capability to generate information and ideas. And we have said human brain we utilize only 10% of our human brain capacity. The 90% is underutilized. So if you let me access information through horror movies, reading books, and all that, it can be extending the 10% to even 11% or even 12%, which is very risky in itself. And then again, through that teenager who is experimental, that particular person doesn't know that horror movie is just a movie. It's not a real action. So this particular Lawrence took it to the next level to execute it, not knowing it is just but a fiction. It's just a movie. It is just a fiction. It's just a movie. But Lawrence took it to the next level to execute it. Any information that comes through your phone, through the internet, or any other avenue, so long as it is from the internet, it does not pass through editorial. It has not been edited by authorities. So our teens may be thinking it is truth. It is not the truth. It is just false. It is just something that has been aired by a person who is not even an authority in himself or herself. But whatever is being passed through books, it has passed through editorial by authorities to guarantee that the information is not harmful. Then the shortcoming is if you read even an horror movie or even read a book, which is fiction in itself, the dangers are the human mind can go to the limit of executing it. So it starts by induction. What is moral right? What is morally wrong? If you expose a teenager to now issues of morals, but through technology and the current century that we are in, the youth or the teens have lost the line between things that are morally right and things that are morally wrong. They cannot differentiate the two. So we have to retreat a bit and still die our discussion around induction, that this is wrong, this is right. By the time the person is growing to the level of a teenager, he will have known or she will have known what is morally right, what is morally wrong, what is fiction, what is real. Yeah, that is the thing.
And how do I know that my child has started consuming something that is not right? what are the things that I can observe and say, okay, this person is actually now maybe not doing the right thing? Because at some point, parents cannot even access those particular gadgets. What are some of these signs that I'll see and say, now I think my Kiptoa or my Mwangi is starting to consume something that is not right?
It is very easy to detect it because, one, if you can find a dean who has been, or your Kipto or your Chepto or your Susan, who has been coming to you to query one or two things physically, has tried to retreat and spend some time with either the television or your laptop, or spend the time with a phone. So you detect from looking at the time spent by coming to console you and the time spent alone with the gadget. Then you will know this particular child is accessing information, and that's why he or she is no longer coming back for consultation. He has gone to his or her corner and tried to spend time with the phone. The person is also interested with the activities and the tasks that you assign. That is how you will detect. If you find a child is no longer active on the tasks that you assign to him or her, or he may do the tasks and assignments haphazardly or in a hurry, and then retreat to the gadget, then you will know
There's
something cooking. You are in for a hot soup now because the task is not well executed. The task is executed haphazardly, not well done, and he has thrown to you that is done with the task, and you find out it's not well done. And the person is now alone with the phone or with the gadget, whatever electronic access. That person now, you detect you are in for a hot soup.
Okay.
Yes.
And I've seen signs that now my child is not going the right way. Take us through the process of now starting to tell them, how do I even face them, first of all? I've seen many parents take away. In fact, there's also another issue of a parent who took a phone away from the kid, and the kid decided to kill themselves. And so many parents are now weighing that balance of nikimunyang'anya, nini tafanyika, and what is the process of now? Now we may have failed in the induction bit. The child is already accessing internet. I have information that, okay, my child could be addicted to a gadget or even could be consuming content that is not right. Take us through that process. What next?
Right from the age of responsibility, the age 7 or age 8, when a child will have known this is right, this is wrong, that is the point at which a parent or an adult or a caregiver should start inducting the child on what is right and what is wrong, alongside the present platforms of internet. By the time a child is 16 years, that particular child will be able to make judgment on what is right and what is wrong. And that's the time you can leave a child to now do what he or she would want to do with the gadget. That is from now societies that have been so much generous on information. But our society, our anthropological upbringing is that parents have no interaction with the children, and there is this taboo issue that you can never speak certain words or certain issues to your child because society restricted you not to mention those things because it's a taboo. So in the Western nations, when a child is at the age of accountability, the age of 7, 8, 9, the child is taken through induction process. By the time a child is 16 years, you are able to converse, the two of you as an adult. You are able to transact, this is wrong, this is right. What do you think? What's your opinion? And the child can air his or her opinion over the matter, and you can be able to strike a balance. And the child can also be able to buy in to your caution that this is going to affect you this way, and this is going to affect you this way. By the time a child is 18, is left alone to execute certain things that in our African setup we still think this is a child. we still dismiss that person as a child. Now it is more serious, especially at the moment when a child can access variety of information, can even resort and retreat to even disqualify you on certain things based on the information that he has accessed in the phone. He can even go to the extent of quoting child rights. Unlike before, when we would not know even what is your an adult
You
right.
didn't even know your right.
Even an adult right, leave alone a child right, an adult right. Yeah, so it would be my appeal that as parents and upcoming parents who are now raising teenagers, they should never focus on the teenagers. They should retreat a bit and focus on a child who's attaining the age of accountability, accountability at the age of 7. You start highlighting the dangers on certain excesses, not only internet, even interaction in the village, even interaction in the estate, even interaction in school. You start to highlight and how you interact with adults, how you interact with strangers. So, because you even at the moment you hear the cases of kidnapping, how does this child interact with even strangers? Because it is strangers also can sneak in information. How do you even interact with people that you are suspecting that they are not your acquaintance? Because they are the ones even that can sneak in drugs to them. And I've told you, the child is curious, and human mind is curious. That curiosity. Somebody inducts your child with drugs by when they are playing at the courtyard, in the playground, in the estate playground. They get inducted to so many things, not only the gadget, even with drugs. So it is me as a parent, you as a parent, to retreat a bit and to settle on a child at 7, 8, and 9 years. Try to work at that particular area at that particular time and bring the person up all the way to the age of 16, when now that person is attaining teenage age. Then now you can set loose that person. That person will have known the dangers of the gadget, and also other dangers of excesses in everything.
Excesses in everything.
Yes.
And this is a direct question. What age should I start allowing my children to interact, especially with the phone? Now that, okay, you've said there's TV, there's everything, but the thing where there's a lot of secrets is in the phone. And I've seen even a question come in, at what point should I now say I can give my child a phone? Because it's in the house.
I may not put up an age, but I would just, out of my own opinion, this is my own opinion, so that it may not be generalized to be the right age. A child is still in school. By the time a child is clearing high school, is attaining also the age of 18, which is the right age to register for an identity card, even to acquire an identity card. That particular person can be identified as a citizen of Kenya by attaining the age of 18. And it is coincidence, it is coinciding with the age when the child is also clearing high school. If it were me, that could be the right time that you can buy a child a phone. Because he will register the phone using his or her own identity card, his or her own particulars will be in the phone. And whatever is in the phone is under his or her authority. And that is the age that this particular child can either separate between what to communicate to others and what to receive from others. That to me could be the right, because it's a direct question you have said, and I've said that could be my
That could
opinion.
be your suggestion.
That I'm suggesting so. If it were possible, you allow this girl or boy to access the phone, which is our phone, but the source of the phone, the funder, the person funding the procurement of the phone is the parent.
Okay.
You buy your child a phone, and then now you also have a discussion that this phone can either damage you or can make you prosper. You highlight the utilization of the phone to the prosperity of the child. And you also highlight the utilization of the phone to the treatmental development of the child. Then you leave the child to exercise now his or her responsibility over the information that can get from the phone. It's all about information.
Okay.
Yes.
You've talked about parents, and there's also been a lot of efforts made by government to try and maybe force broadcasters to rate certain content, and maybe as PG, or there's parental guidance. Then there's one that is not allowed to be viewed by everyone, right? And you'd find that okay, there's this thing in radio nowadays that even in morning shows like this one of ours, you'd find particular things being discussed that go beyond that particular scope of a child. And I'm seated with the child here, and that thing airs, and it is an awkward moment. How do you control such then? Because this is information that you've said it cannot only, it can happen on the gadget alone, but then soap operas nowadays come at 8 p.m.
And that's why I was telling you, you have no restriction over the environment. You are no longer having monopoly over the environment, because you would wish to monopolize the environment of your house. But now you have said, even the radio show in the morning, when you are taking tea, taking breakfast, you hear an awkward, you are put in an awkward situation with your children. And it comes back now to what I was saying. You bring in, you alert a child of the dangers of excesses. That information has been aired. What does it to do with you? If you have heard about that information, it is just about a show. It has nothing to do with you. It is you now to make a selection or to make a choice of how are you going to utilize the information that you have heard. You push it away, or you take it to the next level by actualizing it, then it works against you. So you are right. You cannot control now what comes up over. The government have put restrictions. The government have put certain regulations, certain laws. Laws are set, or rules are set just to regulate human behavior, but not to twist or take away completely your behavior. It is just to regulate your behavior so that you may not overindulge, so that you cannot attend us. As much as the government is coming up with restrictions, rules, and regulations, it is just for one major reason, to regulate human behavior only.
Okay, let's, this is the Morning Glory Show. Thank you so much for watching the first segment of this particular broadcast, elapsing there. Musa has taken us through the process of interrogating issues of technology, especially in teens, and he's mentioned something so important, that it is not only the teens who are affected by issues of technology. Even adults are affected by issues of technology. I'll sample some of your comments, then we shall go to the second part of this particular discussion, now where we'll tend to discuss the solutions then. Now that you're already in a mess, then what is the solution that we can get at this particular moment? Just to read some of your comments before we go there. I think I'll sample some of these comments. Komen saying he's already in. Thank you so much, Bwana Komen. Judith, thank you so much for watching. Matthew Komen saying that even in the meeting, there is no day someone will stay focused for 1 hour without internet connection. Bish Media said internet. Gladys Kosgei saying good morning, tagging a lot of friends there, following the show. Say hi to Musa. That is Asbel Kemboy. There is also somebody, Ambassador Alfred Sargent, all the way from Australia, saying following live. Rogers Bates saying good morning. Gladys saying that you are watching a soap and there is kissing. Na tuko na wazazi, unasikia kumelt. And Musa has talked to it actually, that there is nothing we can do because this is something that is happening out of, this is technology and there is very little we can do about it. There is somebody called Honorable Yano Lejin Jr. saying this is very informative and educative, following live from Eldoret. Thank you so much. Wilbert saying niko sawa, niko ndani ya show. Thank you so much, Wilbert. There's somebody called Alicia Chebet saying tuned in from Cabernet County. This is a topic that I cannot afford to miss. Thank you so much. And as I promised, the more you watch, the more you interact with us, the better your chances of winning a cake courtesy of Red Royal Cake House. Keep engaging us, keep talking to us, and at the end of this broadcast, somebody will walk away with a cake courtesy of Red Royal Cake House. Now, I'll be back to you, Bwana Musa.
Yes.
Now, we've dealt with the issue of we can no longer solve it at environment level. Mm-hmm. We have to interrogate. We have to do all this. And maybe now need to go to specifics. Let's talk about teens and social media. And one of the questions that when I posted a post about this, somebody told me that the internet has really affected the self-esteem of the child, in that the child accesses internet, and by the time they are coming to the parent, I think there are demands that the child is making that cannot be met at home. And so we are already in the mess. As you said, we can no longer control that. Mm-hmm. Now, how do I interrogate that? How do I go about it?
I will just bring in an idea of one. There are two things that are very critical.
Yes, you can go on.
One of them is you're saying how boundary setting is critical. Boundary setting. And it is a whole setting boundaries to the individual is something that is critical. So the issue of boundaries is what I can mention as one of the remedies. Mm-hmm. How do we remedy? Mm-hmm. We remedy by setting boundaries. Mm-hmm. Mental boundaries, mm-hmm. emotional boundaries, mm-hmm. physical boundaries, mm-hmm. psychological boundaries. Mm-hmm. Boundary setting is premised in the fact that if you overindulge in excess without setting in boundaries, mm-hmm. the pigeonholes or the beacons mm-hmm. that one can operate within, mm-hmm. then you can easily mess up with your life. Mm-hmm. So as a parent, as a caregiver, mm-hmm. there is great need to bring in an element of boundary setting. Mm-hmm. You inculcate, you train the child about boundary setting, mm-hmm. so that the child can set mental boundaries. What are you capable of accommodating mentally? Mm-hmm. Even when you are accessing the gadget, mm-hmm. what are you consuming? Mm-hmm. What are you interested in? Mm-hmm. Why are you keying in? Mm-hmm. Why are you going there? Mm-hmm. That information that you are taking in the gadget, leave alone these astray ones that can come, like one of the commentators have said,
you're watching maybe.
You are watching and then they just kiss each other. You see, those are things that you have no control. But now, if you retreat a bit to boundary setting, the child will say, these are people who are kissing and it's not within my beacons. I am operating within these limits. Those are excesses, and that particular child will wish them away, because this child, me and you, everybody, issues that we encounter every day, the issues that we find ourselves in, either you find yourself in a mess, you find yourself in a mix of something, it is because I have not set boundaries on myself. You find yourself that you are in a certain company that even if the police comes and round them up as suspects, you are found in it. Why? Because you have never set boundaries on your socialization. So boundary setting is a remedy number one. And I've said you can go ahead to induct the child and any other person about mental, social, psychological, and emotional boundaries. Because if you have never set boundaries on yourself, you find the child is getting emotionally abused, emotionally manipulated, emotionally intimidated. And that is now how the child can lose self-esteem, because whatever he or she has consumed over the phone has affected her emotional setup. And she becomes upset And slowly by slowly, it degenerates into a low self-esteem. So boundary setting is critical.
Boundary setting
is
key.
Is key.
Okay.
So that nobody can encroach your boundary. You either allow people to encroach into your boundary, or you limit them encroaching into your boundary. You have the preserve and the right of admission to admit certain friends, to admit certain information, to admit certain issues to your life. You have the right of admission.
Okay, somebody here on my inbox, I think, don't mention my identity. Somebody here is saying that I'm an adult and I'm addicted to pornography. And tell the expert, maybe how can I get out of this?
Yes, that is true. That addiction is there. And we get socialized to certain addictions. We get socialized to certain addictions. And the more you get exposed to certain things, then you get addicted to them because of overexposure. And that's why I was talking about excesses. The excess of something. If that is your addiction and you want to get out of it, the human brain and human ability asks that human nature, you are capable of coming out of something the moment you have realized. Awareness is the heartbeat of healing. Awareness is the heartbeat of therapy. That particular viewer who is saying he or she has pornographic addiction, that awareness alone is enough to make that particular person walk out of addiction of pornography. That awareness is step number one. That awareness
is enough to take them
it's
out.
enough. And every human being has capability of moving forward. You have never seen a drunkard. I can bring in here my father who was actually drunk. He could go to 3 villages away from home, and he has never missed his way home. Even if he is excessively drunk, he will still find his way home. He doesn't go to the opposite direction. So every human being has the ability to move forward. So long as you are aware that this is what is ailing you, that awareness is enough. Then now, there is the socialization part of it. There is now the withdrawal. What is motivating? What is motivating you accessing pornographic sites? What is the motivator? The moment you withdraw the motivator, it is now another second step. You are aware that you are addicted to this. Then now you get to withdraw the motivator. And the moment you withdraw the motivator is the second step of getting out of it.
Okay, another question here coming in from somebody called CHRP.MUSA. This one has been shot directly into my inbox, saying that my child is suffering from low attention span, and I suspect that it is a phone that is affecting it. But anytime I take it away from them, then it is a fight. What can I do about it?
Yes, that is CHRP.MUSA. If your child is, anytime you want to withdraw the gadget, it initiates a fight. Then it is you who is reasonable, because the child has never reached a reasonable age that you can interact with. It is just now you, CHRP.MUSA, to initiate other measures, like highlighting to the child why you are confiscating the phone from her or him. Then you replace, you have to substitute with another thing, so that now it enhances the attention span or concentration span on other things. You have to substitute. It is said if you deny a child a knife, you have to substitute with another thing that can substitute the danger in a knife. Yeah, so it is not about just confiscating away, because that particular child has never become reasonable to know why this thing is confiscated from me. So it is you as the caregiver, who is now the parent here, to bring in reasonableness by imparting or slowly by slowly bringing to the child why the phone is being investigated.
Okay.
Yes.
Just to read more to sample more of your comments here, so that there is somebody called Dysocius Colin saying, following the show, Gladys Kosei, but I guess we ought to tell our teens the truth about internet, then set boundaries. Kibet Amos Koech saying, when we are not willing to discuss as it is, the teens have to learn it from somewhere else. There's somebody called Linton saying, good job, watching from Kericho. Thank you so much, Linton. You're gone. Osei Dichaluget saying what? Osei mentioning something about identity crisis as one of those reasons why youth get into social media a lot. Somebody, I think you've responded to it already, and then you notice also that there is a tussle between parents and teens, meaning that we are not operating on the same level of understanding. And will we actually ever, is there a time where we'll come to a certain, to a level ground, or will we remain now with these kind of parents versus technology? Because even the other time we were talking about technology in church, the expert whom we had that day said there's always been a fight between the older generation and the younger generation about technology. How can we bridge that gap?
I will take you to three institutions that are very critical in shaping the identity of a person. And out of the three, one is superior. We have the home as one of the primary institutions that can shape the identity of a person, the morals of a person, the interests of a person, the behavior of a person, strongly is shaped by the home, which is the primary institution. And the people who shape this particular moral behavior of a person are the parents. And if parents retreat and regress to the original responsibility to ensure that the upbringing of the children and the truth, because it is lack of speaking the truth. Somebody has mentioned there about speaking the truth. I came across a certain article that is talking about God doesn't hold an opinion poll to ascertain and to determine the truth. The truth remains the truth, and the truth is very stubborn. And the truth doesn't require any support. It stands on one leg. The truth doesn't require any other support. It just stands always in one leg. So me as a parent, you as a parent, and the caregivers here, because we may talk of deans who have no parents, but they have caregivers. The primary institution that can shape the morals and behavior and identity of a person is at home. The second institution is school. And the third institution is church. But I may not go to the school and the church at the moment, but I will remain at the primary institution that is superior than all this, which is the home. For those who may not be reading the Bible, I read the Bible. If you have come to the show and you are not reading the Bible, let me refer to the Bible as just one of the books and as one of the articles that you can read, just for this purpose. You read the book of Jeremiah 35. You will come across the house of megabytes, and these megabytes, they told the children not to drink. And it reached a certain time when the same children were called upon into a party in the palace, in one of the courtroom of the king in the palace. And they were inducted into drinking. And these children said, we were told by our parents not to drink. We are sorry, sir.
We will not drink.
We will not drink. So our viewers refer to that Jeremiah. You can, if you can refer to it, Jeremiah 35.
I may not be able to read it on the show immediately, but then I think...
It interested me. I read it and I said, okay. So here, as parents, we have an obligation. And the moment we have highlighted the dangers of drinking to our children, they will take it to the next level. If you read also in the book of Proverbs, that 1:1, when King Lemuel ascended to the throne, he remembered what his mother told him. Then it tells me the home is a superior institution that when certain messages are communicated to our children, they pick them up and take them to the next level. Your children can never desert you. The children can never dishonor what you have told them.
Okay.
We have authority over them, and if it is not a negative authority, I'm just talking about we have authority over what we communicate to them. We speak the truth to them the way they are. And there is no parent who has malice over his or her own child. As you are speaking and communicating the truth with love, you have no malice.
Okay.
Yes.
Somebody here saying, I think also there are people now starting to come into the inbox. Somebody saying that my 7-year-old asked me, what is pornography? Should I explain to them what it is?
Yes, the moment you have received a question from a child that what is pornography, you cannot run away from it because of your customs and because of your taboos. Even if you run away from it, the fact that the child has brought up the conversation, here you are reasonable. Here you are the moderator. You moderate now the discussion to satisfy the child's curiosity of what is pornography and also learn the dangers of pornography, because the conversation has been initiated by the child.
Okay, 7 years asking what is pornography. How do they even get there?
It tells you they have access of superior information than what you have. If a child, 7 years old, has come to ask you what's pornography, those are enough indicators and telltale signs that this child has more information surrounding pornography than what you pretend not to be able to discuss.
So by the time the child asks, it means already they're aware of this thing existing.
The child can set the loose ends together and make a meaning out of it.
And okay, maybe just as we're coming also, I'm sure you're coming to the last quarter of this particular broadcast, because we actually, I think, remaining with almost 15 minutes. Let's talk about this more deeply. We live in a situation where you've said that the children know better than the parents when it comes to technology. Yes. I'm aware of people who even, nimaisikia story ya mtu anaambia mzazi that weka pesa fulani netu akirudi kwa simu. That means these people have already gone beyond the parents in terms of technology.
Exactly.
Then that means that how do you mitigate even such? Now, the person who's asking is somebody who knows what pornography is. What happens if a child who is asking a parent who does not even know anything about technology?
We parents will let us get out of living in denial. The fact that child can come straight and ask you, what is pornography? The fact that the child can come and tell you, put more money and the internet will come back. So the child is at the top of the game. It is high time me as a parent not to bury my head in the sun and get to the top of the game. And now that I'm capable of moderating the discussion and moderating the conversation, bring in certain elements of decency in the discussion that can bring the child to learn what is decent and what is indecent in the conversation. Because the truth is the truth. Even if we bury our heads in the sun. And I do not blame parents of my age. I am so much being restricted by taboos. I'm restricted by certain customs that I was told not to be conversing such things or mentioning such things in front of children. But from the current trend, I am getting out of that cocoon of taboos and try to address things the way they are. Because tomorrow, I will be the victim. If my child consumes, like Lawrence, information about executing any act of killing just because he worked in a horror movie, and I've been shy to discuss with my child 1 or 2 or 3 things about the same, I will be the victim tomorrow. So I better jump into the ship and run with this particular play with the child. And I take the lead.
Okay. He's saying jump into the race and make sure that you overtake the kid. This is the Morning Glory show. Remember that at the end of this particular broadcast, somebody will be walking away with a cake. I've already displayed to you the cake. This is a cake that somebody at the end of this particular broadcast will actually be having the cake. I'm sure that my directors are already checking the comments and seeing who is interacting with us better. But then also remember that we may at some point also have to maybe be a little bit strict to the topic. So make sure that also unachangia kwa mjadala. I'm saying, okay, maybe somebody may just comment something that is too general. Remember that the terms and conditions apply. This is the Morning Glory show, and at this particular time, I would just want to assure you that at the end of this broadcast, somebody will walk away with a cake. Tag your friends as much as possible. Let's have this conversation. And as we are coming to the tail part of this particular conversation, I just want to tell you that in the next maybe 10 minutes, I'll be giving out the cake. So make sure that you tag as many friends as possible. And thank you for those who have already tuned in. Let me just sample some of your comments that came in after maybe I read the other comments. There's somebody called CHRP.MUSA saying that following from Medihill Hospital, Eldoret. Thank you. Osea Bethuel Kipchirchir saying man of great vision. Thank you so much. Arap Chesir saying the legend sharing wisdom on family and relationship. Thank you so much. There's somebody called Osea D. Changulet saying parents must control their children. The children are not puppets. You are not a puppeter. There is no possible way you can control every move your child makes or everything your child says, especially outside your home. Children have their own free will and will act on their own accord and often self-interest. If your child does not get angry with you once in a while, you are not doing a good job. Also, okay, it's a long one. If your child doesn't get angry with you, at least you have once in a while, you are not doing a good job. Along with this, remember that you are not required to give lengthy explanations of your decision. It is not safe. You can give plenty of explanation when the teen asks why he can't jump off the roof on the trampoline. It's your responsibility. It is enough justification for telling your child it is homework time. You don't need to get all. You don't. It is okay. I'm sorry. I'll have to take it again. I know why the comment is jumping up and down. It's a huge and a very long one. I think I'll get back to it. It's your responsibility. It's not enough justification for you to tell your child it's homework time. You don't need to get into all possible what ifs and if thens. Okay, that is Hosea Changulet giving us a very long comment there about if your child actually doesn't get angry with you, it means then there's something that you are not doing because you mustn't always agree with them, and also saying that you mustn't give them long explanations of why you've made particular decisions. So remember, this is the Morning Glory show. There's somebody called Kimuge Portrait saying, how do I regulate the use of gadgets by teens? When is it the right time, or rather the right age, to buy phones? I think Kimuga might have come in a little bit late, but that is exactly what we were sampling just before you came in. Actually, maybe for the benefit of those who came in late, you'll repeat that particular bit of how to regulate the use of gadgets by teens and when the right time to introduce it to them is. As part of also that, you can give your parting shot.
Thank you for the comments that have been heard, especially this one of, if your child doesn't get angry with you, just get to know that you are not doing a good job. it is true the child may not buy into your ideas as a parent. However, you will have highlighted. The good thing is you will have mentioned the dangers to the child. Even if he or she gets angry, you will have mentioned. Then Kimuge is asking about what is the right age.
I think that question is coming up, I think, thrice. I'm also seeing somebody else asking, what is the right age to allow my child to use a phone?
I said the right age to allow a child to use a phone depends on the parent. It depends on the parent, and based on certain wishes of the parents, they can buy the children phones at the age of 10, at the age of 12, at the age of 13. So I do not want to say there is a right age. But in the past place, I say, if it were me, I would have preferred to buy the gadget to a child at the age of 18.
But then they are no longer a child then. Basically, you're saying children should not access gadgets.
That's a teenager who is now transiting
to adulthood.
And in transition, might be part of my parting shot. For one to transit to the next level, you must have acquired enough skills that can navigate you to transit from one state to the other. If you have inadequate transitional skills, you may not succeed in the next level of transition if you have inadequate skills. And the right age of buying a gadget to a child here is based on the parents' wishes. That's what I've said. The other day, my child, who is now a CPC child, used the mother's phone to communicate to me, to carry home certain things that were required in school. And I found here the phone of the mother was very useful to communicate this useful information. So now my child could have been having a phone at that age of, is it 13 years? What much information could this child access to the extent that it could become destructive to our learning? Because we have said accessing the phone is destructive. So let me just now bring in that the age when a parent can buy a phone to a child depends on the parent, but I would have set the age limit where the child can own fully a personal phone at the age of 18. But the child can still use the caregiver's phone, the auntie's phone, whose phone, when he or she wants to communicate something at any age. But of course, at the age of accountability. Then we will go back to Waenga as one of my parting shots. We will go back to Waenga. Asiyesikia wanasema nini? Asiyefunzwa na mamaye hufunzwa na ulimwengu. So the child here is under the care of a parent. And when Waenga said asiyefunzwa na mamaye hufunzwa na ulimwengu, it didn't restrict only to the mama. It
was just symbolic.
It is just a symbol way of saying, if you don't get to be taught by elders or caregivers or significant people in your life, the world will deal with you. The world is brutal. The world is ruthless. So it is me and you as a parent who have responsibility to train our children. And training our children is not lecturing them. It is making sense out of the nonsense that they can bring. Like somebody was saying, my child has come and asked me what is pornography. To you as a parent, you might be thinking it is nonsense. Why is this kid asking such a question? But make sense out of that question. Communicate to the child what it is and what are the dangers of overindulging or even of getting exposed to it, leave alone overindulging. It should not even be attempted. Leave the child with a mark that this is morally wrong and this is morally right. Cultivate the morals, because the moral development of a child begins at the age of 7 all the way to 13. That is the moral development stage of a child. Within that limit, within that age, I lie to the child. It's not a lecture. It is just highlighting the significance of knowing that particular information.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you so much for that. And if you've been in the broadcast, then you might have learned that it is not only the children who are affected by the issues of technology and by issues of by these issues of overindulgence into technology. So that means that actually I did mention that Bwana Musa is an HR expert, and I think as part of I know he's already given his parting shot, but then also you may just mention about the observations you're making in the current job market about how the phone and gadgets can affect productivity. You had mentioned that at the beginning. I think you can still talk about it, because most of the people who are watching also are people who are actively looking for jobs. Maybe there's an advice you can give them about that. Then I think I shall come back and say something about the cake.
Employers, thank you for that. My observation, and also I've had lamentation from employers that Generation Z are so much fond of their phones and any other gadget around them, to the extent that they do not allow themselves to observe what is happening around their organization. Learning lessons that this particular employee, who is now so much fond with his phone, just pass by. I've also been to schools, and you get to know from teachers, senior teachers, principals, that actually the staff room, the young people, as much as they're in the staff room, they do not discuss even professional content that could have aided them in also shaping their professional prowess or professional proficiency. But they get so much in their phones to the extent of losing, shaping and discussing professional content that could have even enhanced their skills. So that in itself, it limits your professional development. Because if you are so much isolated, and I talked about functional isolation, that you are in a crowd, but you are isolated from the crowd just because of the phone. So as a professional, or even from HR perspective, it affects productivity because it is destructive. An assignment and a report that you could have cleared within 1 hour, you will take 1.5 hours or 2 hours to take to the superior or to your supervisor. A report that you could have cleared within 1 hour, you will take 1.5 or 2 hours to clear the report with less errors. But because you were so much on your phone, you will take longer to do the report. You will take the report to your supervisor with a lot of errors, and it is going to reflect bad on your side because the supervisor may think that you are not keen on your job. Only to learn, you might be excellent in your qualifications, you are good also in work, but this phone alone has removed your concentration and it limits your keenness on editing your work before you take to your supervisor. So it affects your professional development at the end of the day. That is just one way among so many ways of how the phone or the gadget can affect you career-wise. Yeah, it can delay your promotion. You can be bypassed by guys who might be doing away with the phone and be keen on executing their tasks and endear the supervisor. Then I end at the end of the day, I complain that I have been here for long, I have not been promoted, only to learn that I was limited by my gadget.
Actually, it was the phone that denied you the promotion.
The promotion, not discrimination, no tupakusi.
Okay.
The phone can pakua you, but superiors or supervisors can never pakua you.
Wow. And let me tell you this, maybe we'll get some time later to, on a later date, to welcome Bwana Musa on Expert Monday to now fully talk about the issue of phones at workplace. Because you notice there is also a menace without employability of somebody when they are over-dependent on gadgets and technology. This has been the Morning Glory Show, and I'm advised today by my directors that actually we shall be giving out the cake after sampling all the comments, because I think there are a lot of comments that I may not have gone through them, and so at the end of this particular broadcast, my directors will be able to advise me on the best way to give out the cake today, and I shall publish it on both the Dawi Afrique page and Very Nice Media page. With that, thank you so much for always watching the Morning Glory Show. Tomorrow, as we've been doing, we'll be talking about the issues of entertainment, art, and culture. And there is a new culture of doing decorations in weddings. It is also an art in its own way. And tomorrow we have two ladies who will just be discussing the art of event decoration. Now that in this region, towards this time, we usually have a lot of people doing weddings, pre-weddings, and all those. And somebody was challenging me and telling me, somebody goes and texts Dawi Afrique and pays them maybe 150,000 or 100,000 to go do photography for them. Then they go pick mtu wa 10,000, and at the end of it all, inakosa kubalance. So there's a videographer here who's come, and there's nothing actually to shoot. So tomorrow we'll be trying to solve that particular problem with maybe balancing your service providers. Remembering that also last week we had MCs, this week we have decoration guys, and next week we'll be having other service providers, so that also we may be able to benefit and learn how to make our events better in terms of the outcome. So with that, my name is Coach Kalia. Until tomorrow, see you.